Dear brothers, it's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation, the way you flow, your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
Welcome to another edition of DBDS Live. I'm your host, Mel Money, and I'm here with the knowledgeable life coach, my DBDS brother, Carl. How you feeling today, man?
Man, I am fantastic. It's fabulous. Enjoying this weather, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm feeling great, man. Beautiful weather. Before we get started, I just want to say first, happy birthday to my beautiful young daughter, Ayana. I love you, and I hope you're having an amazing day. And a special shout out to my DBDS sister, Gianni, as well as our brother, Mo, and our DBDS sister, Nicole, who is right now dealing with a tragic issue. So our condolences, thoughts, and prayers goes out to her and the family. But we appreciate you, and we're here for you. Just to shift some gears, it's a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline that me and Carl and the rest of the DBDS family have in store. In a few weeks, dear brothers, dear sisters, we'll have a website as our central hub for relationship guidance, blogs, courses, what else I can think of, consultations, audio podcasts, books, mugs, and so much more. So we will definitely keep you posted. And also our platform is based on helping people to establish healthy relationships. So please check out dbdssingles.com so you can meet someone who has the same values as you, okay? Carl, anything else you want to add, brother?
No, that's it. I'm excited. I really am. The stuff that's coming down the pipe, man, is just, there's so much finger pointing and blaming back and forth between the sexes. And you always say, until we can get past that and heal and do the things we got to do, it's going to be a constant battle. But this right here, this platform is designed for both sides to hear each other, communicate, talk, and have the tough conversations, because that's what it's going to take to get healthy. To get healthy, you got to have the tough conversations.
Absolutely. And not only that, this is why I think this is a perfect segue, because today's show is going to be based on, how to date again after a toxic relationship. And part of dating again after a toxic relationship is to take accountability, is to examine all that unfinished, I would say, business that you had in not just the toxic one, but all your relationships through your lifetime. So that way you can realize the things that you have done previously in order to learn those lessons, to gravitate towards someone that is compatible with you, So I'm glad you brought that up, brother. Glad you brought that up. Make sure you check out our channel. Right now we are live on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. And that's a great way to support DBDS, as well as what we're about, trying to establish healthy relationships. Okay. So with that being said, again, today's show is titled How to Date Again After a Toxic Relationship. So we're not going to waste nobody else's time. We're going to, time is valuable. So with that being said, we are going to bring our guest into the DBDS Live studio. You ready, Carl?
Let's do it.
That's what I like to hear. All right. My brother coming into the DBDS Live studio is my friend, my brother, Freddie Lopez. Welcome back to DBDS Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invite. How you doing, Carl? Mel, man, I'm excited. Let's do this. Let's get started, man. I'm very excited about all this right here.
Absolutely. So I see the people coming in the chat room. We got some new viewers. Tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you're on the show today.
My name is Freddie Lopez. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. I'm a life coach. And at the same time, I teach people also to a spiritual uplifting them constantly of their everyday life and struggles.
That's what we like to hear, brother. That's what we like to hear. Everyday life and struggles. That makes you more of a person that has more gratitude towards things. You just feel more appreciative about life within itself when you go through the struggles and you help other people out there. That's what it's all about, right? Man, allergies killing me, man. Oh, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and get things started. And I appreciate you coming back on, Freddie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, with the aftermath of a devastating breakup from a toxic relationship, sometimes that particular person may feel like they're ready to jump back into the dating scene. But sometimes they have a hard time adapting the do's and the don'ts that would either put them on the path to a positive, healthy relationship, or may put them in the direction of a negative, bad relationship. And I think today's show will enlighten our viewers with some sort of guidance to help them in these gray areas, right? But before we dive deep into this topic, we have a DBDS Anonymous section where people post their thoughts, their issues, and they look for some constructive criticism to help them along their journey. So I'll have my brother Carl read the letter. Take it away, Carl.
So the letter reads, DBDS letter. So I've been in a relationship for 2 years. It's been super rough. My ex-boyfriend became addicted to drugs after we had our first child together. So I was never healed from that and definitely jumped into the second relationship too quickly. I would constantly be honest and tell my boyfriend that I'm not in a good place to hold a relationship and I need some time. I would constantly brush him off. Sometimes when I felt like I was ready, I would find out that he's been drinking or doing something behind my back, and I would get cold feet because I don't want any substance abuse issues. Recently, though, I found out that he's been talking to a girl since February and then was sending her sexual messages in March. We were together in February, on and off, and ever since we've been talking, he keeps telling me that he will wait for me forever and that there's no other woman for him. He would knock on my door when I wouldn't respond to him, and he'd bring me flowers, and he would rest assured that there was no one for him, even when I told him to go be free. In March, he had sent sexual messages and videos to another girl without telling me, and he slept with me 6 days after he did it. I had no idea, and had I known, I would have never slept with him because as far as I know, we were pretty exclusive in that way, considering he would tell me how much he loved me and would wait on me. My body feels degraded, and I'm not one to sleep around whatsoever. And this girl was not even cute in any sort of way, so it makes me feel so insecure, like there's something wrong with me. He wants to work things out, and went as far as to purchase a $3,000 engagement ring from Zales to prove that he's a changed man. I really want to get married, yet I'm emotionally confused. What should I do?
Whew. Wow. Okay, my sister. Well, first off, thank you so much for your letter. Listen, this is what we do. We're gonna, you're coming for some help, and that's the first step in order to try to put you in the right direction. So thank you for that letter. So we have some knowledgeable, experienced brothers that can help guide you in the right direction. I'm coming to my brother Freddie. How can we help this sister that's reaching out?
My first advice would be take more time to heal yourself first. The reason why is if you acknowledge the fact that you moved in too fast in the next relationship, that's like not giving the other man an opportunity or the choice that you took away from him by knowing exactly what everything that he was going to be accountable for, meaning the blame for the previous man before, which it wasn't his fault. It's like going into a war with a gun without ammo. You didn't, and that is not right. You yourself wasn't prepared, and you didn't. At the same time, even though you probably was honest with the next previous relationship about it, but that person probably needed someone just like you needed somebody. You guys became a time being to each other, only to cope, not to heal each other, only to cope over the wounds that y'all both endured into life, and you didn't give each other the time span of moving forward with yourself first. The healing process begins with yourself first. Before marriage, I would say give time for you to heal, because when your heart still belongs with somebody else and your mind still, you're still kind of like, it's almost like still a spiritual connection with the other person, because if it's still following that energy across with the next person too. And it's not fair not only to you, but it's not fair to the other person either.
Wow. Very well said. I like how that's so true. It's like she's like going into a war without a loaded weapon. I mean, wow, very deep. But I see the analogy. I'm coming to my brother Carl. Man, this sister, she's lost. How can we help her?
I agree with everything Freddie said. I mean, that he's spot on that, especially the healing aspect of it. You did not heal from relationship 1 to 2 because you said it yourself. The other thing is, you're dealing with a guy, you because you're not in a good place, everything that he says and does, you're going to see as a negative, even if it's a positive, because you're not healed. So as Freddie said, you're holding him accountable for what the previous person did to you. Then you said you guys were intimate and you thought you were exclusive, and he's doing these other things, but he doesn't respect you, number one, if he's sending sexual messages to another woman. But we've got to play devil's advocate on that. You're saying you told him go be free. So you can't tell him go be free and then say you're exclusive in the same breath, literally almost in the same sentence. And so if he's sending sexual messages and having conversations with somebody else, you've told him to go be free. So you can't hold him accountable for him telling him to do something different. And now you want to say, well, because we were intimate, I thought he was exclusive and he was mine. Him buying a ring is controlling. There are some people out
even from Zell's? Even from Zell's, brother?
He didn't go to Jared's.
Gotcha.
He didn't go to Jared's. So,
gotcha.
So he went to Zell's. I mean, Zell's is cool. They all up on there for Mother's Day and stuff like that. That's nice. But $3,000 is nothing for a ring. And I'm not knocking it. It's nice. But like I said, he's using that ring to hold you, and saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You got to take a step back and see. And again, it's like you can't see the tree through the forest because you're too close to this situation. You need to take some time. If you really love this guy and you're saying you really want to marry this guy, take some time apart. Figure out your needs. Get the healing that you need. And there's several levels of healing. People think, oh, I'm healed, it's over. No, healing is a constant thing that you go through on a regular basis. And there's different levels about that. We'll talk about that later in the show, the different levels of healing that you have to go through. But you need to get there. And you need to tell him he needs to go, whatever substance abuse or whatever he may be dealing with, you need to address that with him, and he needs to deal with that. Because right now, you guys are a recipe for disaster. And if you leave this, I can guarantee you, somebody's going to come along, tell you everything you want to hear, and because of where you're at, you're going to jump into another relationship too quick. You need some time, and I'm not talking 90 days. I'm not talking 6 months. You need some serious time to reflect on you. And you said you have a child. Think about the damage this will do to the child if you continue to relationship hop, if you continue to bring people around who are not good for your child at this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. Well said, man. Listen, since it's the dope tree on this and the audience is watching, man. And before I give my little 2 cents in, here's go a quick comment already. Here we go.
I can't see the users, but one Facebook you said very well said. Yes, very well said. And the next one said great advice.
Okay, very well said and great advice. We appreciate that. I came from my sister San Marie. Thank you for watching the show. Appreciate that, sister. Appreciate that. My thing is this. I just feel like based on the context of your letter and how you navigated quickly from, one relationship to the next, as both my brothers stated, you was bound to initiate some issues because, as you mentioned, you weren't healed from your previous relationship. And most importantly, there was no self-reflection. So you were already diving into another relationship with these deep emotional scars. And this created an imbalance in your relationship. And according to your letter, 2 things occur, which usually happens when someone does not give themselves enough time to self-reflect and heal. And the first one is, relationships are reflective. So more than likely, you will attract someone with similar traits. And number 2, there are no personal relationship principles, or as I stated in my book, no non-negotiable codes, and it puts you at a disadvantage to place your bet on someone where the odds are not in your favor. And this is why it's so critical to fix yourself first if you're damaged. And then I feel like you need to prepare and position yourself for the right man or woman to come into your life. And I also feel like this is why it's so important to take your time to pay attention to the content of a person's character. Because to be honest with you, regarding your thought process, a relationship should be the last thing on your mind. You know, you got a child. It's obvious you need to put that energy into yourself as well as your child, because if you continue to go down in this direction, then more than likely you're going to have a broken heart. Hell, in fact, so broken that you may have a hard time putting those pieces back together for the right man to come into your life. Right. So again, listen, my sister, thank you so much for your letter, because part of the journey of healing is to, you know, reach out, change your surroundings, have a great emotional support system, and we greatly appreciate it. Right. So now it's time to pivot to the first topic of our show. In today's show, again, my people, please, you know, chime in, leave comments, call in, you know. But today's show is titled, How long should you date? How do you date again after a toxic relationship? Excuse me. And the first subtopic that we're going to talk about today is, how long should you wait to date after a toxic relationship? I don't know, man. Steve Harvey may tell you like 90 days. Somebody may be like a day or 2 weeks. And this is very interesting, you know, so we're going to break it down right here. So my thing is that, you know, I believe you need to pace yourself and get to know yourself once again, because after a toxic relationship, you know, it could take a toll on your self-esteem. So as far as the time frame is concerned, there are some factors that you must do to understand first, such as, you know, what role you played in that toxic relationship, or, you know, I'll say recognize the things you did so you can take responsibility and so much more. But once you get over that hurdle and believe in love again, then you can explore the dating market and see what else is out there. So I'm coming to my brother, Freddie. What insight you have on this particular question? You know, how long do you wait?
That also, I would say, my opinion, I think it would be safer with 6 months.
Okay.
The reason why I say 6 months is because within that time, you have time to grow within yourself, know what you could have done different, without having to point a finger at the other person. Because the worst thing to do is having to think that you know, you don't have no responsibility in what occurred. And now taking responsibility holds a big portion of your healing process when you do decide to move on, when you think you're ready. Because if you don't start with responsibility of taking ownership of what happened in the relationship, to assess everything that happens, moving forward into any relationship will be toxic after that, if you don't take responsibility. But that's, you know, that's my opinion.
You know, before I go to Carl, another question for you, Freddie. So do you think that's a red flag when someone, when you first meet them, always blame everything on that person? Like, oh, there was a cheater and they did this to me and did that, and all their relationships were like that in the past. Do you think that's a red flag? I mean, I just want to get your insight on that.
That is a red flag. The reason why is because they're not taking responsibility. It's playing the blaming game. You can play the blaming game forever.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, and that's just making an excuse for yourself and for everything else. It's almost like being in love and being in a toxic relationship and being in love with the other person, and you're making excuses of why you're staying with this person. No difference. Because when you're in love with somebody, you're constantly making an excuse of why you love this person, why you should stay with this person, instead of looking at it, how much this person hurts you, how much this person is disloyal to you. But at the same time, you should also reflecting back and saying, how much of this am I going to tolerate? How much of this am I going to accept? How much do I love myself? How much am I going to respect myself? You see what I'm saying? So when you look at it in a format of taking a negative into a positive, you know, in order, you know, because I always say, you know, you always need negative and positive, you know, they pretty much go hand in hand in order for a good effect to take cause. You know, and the reason for that is that a lot of people get into any any little conversation even with themselves, the relationship starts with you. And if you can't build yourself and give yourself 100%, you're only giving yourself a percentage that you yourself feel that you're entitled to 100% going into a relationship, when yet you still haven't given yourself that 100. You know, and that's very unfair for a person to do that to themselves. Sometimes we become our own enemy in any day battle, just with anything in life.
Very well said, brother. So I'm going to come to my brother Carl up. Two-front question on that, and I love what you stated, Freddie. So yeah, how long should a person wait before they, jump into another relationship? Especially after a toxic relationship, and also, is it a red flag when someone is always stating that, oh, this is what happened to me, this is what happened to me, and it was abusive? What's your take on that?
First part of the question, the how long should you wait? Something I learned coming out of a 20-year marriage, going to counseling and listening to my counselor and my coach, and they said, truly, when you're in a marriage, a little different than relationships sometimes, but when you're in a marriage, it's almost for every 5 years you're married, you need to take 6 months to a year to heal, because you got to think about how much time, how much you've given to this person, how much you have built with this person. You're around this person when you're in a marriage or relationship every day. You're with this person all the time, talking to this person all the time. Now this gets cut off and it's gone. So now you have to come into a new norm that you're used to. So you just think, if you're married to somebody for 10 years, or you're just dating somebody, you're dating for 5 years, and you come out that relationship, you just spent your last 5 years, every day of those 5 years, with this individual, talking to them, texting, traveling, sex. So I think, relationship wise, probably 6 months for every 6 months for every year. Maybe not take that long, but again, a lot of it will deal with your accountability. My marriage ended not on my terms. My marriage ended because of what she did and what she wanted. So the first thing I did was I took a step back. Even while we were separate, I took a step back and looked at myself, and I said, what did I do wrong? I didn't care if it was 5%. I didn't care if it was 10%. And I had people in my ear saying, hey, you didn't step out. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Okay. And I was like, yeah, but I still played a role somewhere, because I didn't want that same issue coming back up again in another relationship. So I took a step back and looked at myself. A lot of people don't want to do that part when you're talking about, when they're sitting there. So if you're taking accountability and you're going and doing the real healing, and not just, thinking, oh, I'm good 30 days out or whatever. No, somebody tell me they came out of a toxic relationship and they're jumping in another relationship in 30 days, 6 days. All you're doing is bleeding on the next person. Literally, you're just bleeding on that person because you're wounded. You're still wounded, and now this person is trying to be a surgeon, and they're not designed to be a surgeon, and putting you back together. You see these memes that say love her broken pieces so you can put it back together. No, it's not my job to put you back together.
Exactly.
Because if you come broken, all you're going to do, and I'm whole, all you're going to do is tear me apart. Because you're going to break me down. And that's not, so that's when you're toxic, coming from a toxic relationship, you now can become toxic. You now can be the one that you're bringing that toxic energy into the next relationship. And that's man or woman. I know a lot of men will jump into another relationship right away, especially sometimes because they don't want to be alone. Women tend to take some time and sit back and try to look at things. But I think, and I just keep it real, I think a lot of women will still blame the man. And I'll tell people like this: if you were, Freddie said it best. If you're in an abusive relationship, whether he's an abusive physically or she's abusive physically or mentally, emotionally, they're cheating. Those are all abuses. Those are all toxic traits.
Right.
If they're doing that, and you're dealing with those types of things, and you have constant relationships like that, sometimes you got to take a step back and say, why am I the common denominator in all these relationships?
That's deep.
why am I the one that continues to attract these people to me? And again, we can't stop people from stepping to us. We can't, but we control who we entertain. And I think that starts with us as individuals.
Very true.
And then if somebody's blaming other people, no, like I said, people ask me all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I have a direct answer when somebody says, well, why'd your marriage end? I can answer it and keep it moving. And it's not blaming her, though she's the one that decided to really go that route. There's nothing I can do about that. But when I hear somebody saying, well, he did this and he didn't do this and he didn't do that, I'll ask a question. Well, did you do anything wrong in the relationship? No, he's the man. He's supposed to be doing that, and that. And I'm like, okay, have a great day. Now keep moving. But if as I'm coaching women and talking to them and they start saying that, I just tell them, I said, look, I may not be the person for you. So what I need you to do for homework, I need you to go look in the mirror.
Right.
I need you to go home. I need you to go look in the mirror. And I need you to dig deep. Because if you tell me you were perfect in a relationship, then you should have been married to Jesus. That's the only thing
Oh man, we're gonna get some of our people in here. So, coming back to my sister Sin Marie.
She said, I had to learn to put me first and love me first. Absolutely.
Absolutely. It starts with you. If you have respect for yourself and you love yourself, then if that other person has to bring more of that to the table based on how you treat yourself, right? Next one. I'm gonna go through all these comments.
Deep.
Yeah.
And then
that was my sister Sin.
Right? Yeah, and then since it narcissistic. Yeah, we dealt with that last week too. We talked about that.
It happens. Our sister Arnetta. Okay.
She said, hello, everyone. Hey, Arnetta.
Hey, good day, my classy sisters. Appreciate that. And last comment right here.
Robin, she said, yes. Oh, Arnetta said, yeah, I agree. Love you first.
That's what I'm talking about. Gotta love yourself first. Listen, let's just drop a bomb for the D. You know what? My thing is that before I even, sometimes I see like when you take accountability, you realize those things, right? It kind of like, it's almost as if it's a roadmap to lead you to something better, right? That's how I look at it from my perspective. And I just think like during the whole post-up breakup phase, I usually call it before you date again, there are usually 3 options. The first one is to put sometimes, and I'm just going to lay it out to people just to be real, but usually the first one is to put all your efforts in and try to win your abusive ex back or accept them back into your life, which a lot of people tend to do. And then they end up back in that dysfunctional relationship until they reach like an emotional threshold, pain threshold, to realize it wasn't the right decision. The second option is when a brother or sister try to move on as if nothing ever happened, as if that relationship never exists, or they try to suppress everything. But then again, that's a bad decision because it puts you at a disadvantage. If you have not learned anything from that toxic relationship, it may lead you down to another unhealthy relationship, right? And the third one is to self-reflect and heal properly, right? And the reality is, once you separate yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, it does give you a clear focus on to review your role in that relationship. And I think this is all about growth and change. So once you begin to take care of yourself and love yourself, as everyone stated, as well as these great comments, listen, you'll have a better sense of standards. You'll be able to create these non-negotiable goals or healthy boundaries. You'll be able to attract like-minded individuals. So before you put yourself out there to start dating again, ask yourself if you believe in love again. Self-reflect, take accountability. But if you don't believe in love, or if you don't take accountability, then it won't work. And your negative energy will only doom your dating prospects moving forward. All right. So before we take a quick commercial break, I'm going to still get some other comments up in here from my sister Arnetta.
She said, always pray and ask God for wisdom.
Absolutely. Listen, praying, Arnetta, led me to to Dr. Hope. He was my therapist a while back when I was in a very toxic relationship. And listen, this old white man, he gave me some nuggets. Put a shoestring behind me, pushed me right back the shoestring. And I'm like, what you doing that for? Shouldn't you be sitting down like with a notepad taking notes? And it was like, the reason why I pushed you across that shoestring is because you didn't have any boundaries. You didn't have any healthy boundaries. That's why you are where you're at today. And I want to thank you, Dr. Hope. Literally, that is his name, Dr. Hope. But I want to thank you for changing my life around and putting those nuggets in my head. Next comment from one of our sisters.
And she said, absolutely, always.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate that. So listen, my people, we're going to take a quick commercial break. You know, this is the great panel. This is DBDS Live. We'll be right back. Sit tight.
So many people are calling for police reform. And so because they're calling for police reform, they may not understand that there are many organizations who are already responding.
And I feel like you have to really get to know people, see if they share the same core values as you before you get involved with them.
I want to ask a question as to how we got to this place right here, where mask wearing, where COVID-19, where public health is all politicized. I really want you all to think about this. How did we get to this particular point?
It's really a nice balance when femininity and masculinity can mix together and just create this awesome, experience.
Hey, welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm here with my brother, Freddie, my DBDS brother, Carl. Listen, we just been chopping it up. That person that you just seen on the commercial, my brother, Carl, has a great book, so make sure you support him. It's called Police Reform, an amazing book. And shout out to my sister, Annetta. Make sure you support her book too, A Journey to a Healed Heart. They're both available on Amazon.com. Listen, any authors out there, any vendors that you guys have going on, reach out to DBDS. We'll definitely promote, because that's what it's all about. Teach, learn, and live, all right? All right, spread that love. So before we get the show rolling and flowing, I just want to give some shout outs to the people watching the show. So shout out to my sister Kwanda, my brother Jeff, my sister Jasmine, my sister Viva, Nadia, Shantavia, thank you for tuning in. Angela, Aisha, Alicia, okay. My sister, Mrs. Gomez, Veronica Griffin, I see you, my sister. My sister Sen, Alicia Stewart, thank you for tuning in, greatly appreciate it. And to all of the DVD, if I didn't call your name, listen, we greatly appreciate you guys tuning in, greatly appreciate it. So, the next subtopic that we're going to talk about on our show today, this is extremely important, is healing steps after a toxic relationship. Man, to me, it's more than just healing. You also have to self-reflect, but this is the journey you have to take after that bad relationship, right? So let me slice this up. So one thing is that usually the main destinations to healing are first taking care of yourself, working out your grief and dealing with life challenges. And if you understand these components, then you're on your way to a potential healthy relationship, right? So Freddie, what are your thoughts on this particular topic?
My thoughts about this is pretty much simple, and I use different terminology also for this too, right here. One is that a person must find what makes them happy. That's number one, and to do so. My advice is, and this is something that actually helps out, because I separate this into two. One is into a spiritual way of a person, like their inner and then outer. I tell them to take a flower and a plant, okay, and learn to take care of it, right? How to nurture the plant and the flower is very different. May seem the same, but it's very different how you what soil you planted it.
I see where you're going with this. How you take care of it, right? Go ahead.
And then
Break it down.
when they take that time and to taking care of something, right? The beauty of the growth that you get within this plant that the God Himself created for for the beauty of life itself, for this very existence at the same time. That symbolizes not only the outer part also, but their spirituality within themselves too. Things that they may think that they're not able to touch or reach. This is where I bring out the spiritual essence of a person so they can reach the pinnacle of their life, which a lot of people never reach, no matter what age they actually hit. In order to hit the pinnacle of your life, is the existence of your existence. To understand why was you born, and a lot of people, of course, if you know of energy, a source of energy that a person actually gains within themselves when they're attached to, because we're created from the world, like man, woman came from the rib of man, but us men, we came from the world. You see what I'm saying? We came from the ground, like that's where we came from. You see what I'm saying? So our natural essence is our energy, us men, come from the worldly. You see what I'm saying? So when you give the woman the lesson of learning how to take care of this, of the two, and not only just women, people of any type. You see what I'm saying? When they take those two, a flower and a plant symbolizes a spirituality and connection. Also, not only with the earth, but with yourself as one. You see what I'm saying? So as they take care of this and they go on a daily life in a relationship to heal, they start forgetting about a lot of the stuff that hurts them. And they start being more immune of the things that they start learning. How to grow a flower, how to protect this flower, how to nurture this flower, what to feed this flower. The plant is swell. It's like a male and female. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I tell a lot of people is understanding if you're in the right place as a man, you would say you would allow your daughter, your mother, your sisters, or any just females that you respect in your life to be with a man like yourself. You being in great standards as a man in the right position in life of where you're heading. Same thing I say this vice versa also with the woman. Can she say within herself that she would allow her son, her father, her brother, any man that she respects to be with a woman like herself? And she could say yes, she's also in right standards in energy, when I'm talking about energetic wise, in order to moving forward in as whether female or male in life forward. The reason why I teach this is in order for them to gain the energy within themselves and to mainly attach themselves. See, us men, like I say, our attachment is from the world. A woman's attachments from our ribs, from us. So what we teach them is very critical. You see what I'm saying?
Deep. That may go over a lot of people's heads. That is extremely deep. Wow. Thank you for that wisdom, my brother. Before I go to your call, we have a quick comment, and then we'll go to you right quick. Here we go. From Sin.
She said, Sin said, I posted earlier, survive the rain, but use it to grow.
That's deep too. Sin, we need to get you on the show. You dropping some nuggets. All right, and here come from Arnetta. Freddie stated.
She said, love it, Freddie. Speak.
Absolutely. So, Carl, what advice would you provide to someone that's healing steps after a toxic relationship? How do they heal?
I wrote some notes down real quick. I look at the different things. There's stages and then there's levels. We got there's 5 stages you go through when you're healing. You got the grief and denial. You're grieving the loss of relationship. You're in denial that you lost it, that it ended this way, that these things happen. You've got to deal with those things during step 1. Stage 2, you got the anger, because once you start dealing with that, you're going to get angry. You're going to get upset at this person, and that's going to be another issue. And then you have 3. You got this little bargaining stage. You're trying to figure out, how do I make it? Do I go back? Do I not go back? Or where I'm at on this thing. And you start bargaining even with yourself. You may even go in the next stage with depression. Because you're missing this person. Like I said, especially when you're in a long-term relationship, you're committed. You're talking marriage, these things. Or if you got kids together, it will happen, and you'll go through a slight stage of depression. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just dealing with you, making sure you're speaking to the right people and getting help. And the last stage is acceptance. Now, something I didn't deal with, in order to go through those, you got to forgive. You got to forgive yourself, and you got to forgive that person. And if there's other parties involved, you got to forgive them. That for me was one of the toughest things to do, but I did. I had to forgive the other parties. They didn't owe me anything, but I had to forgive them. So, and then you have to turn and forgive that person for what they did to you. But ultimately, you got to forgive yourself. If you don't forgive yourself, you will sit on stage 4, which is depression, or you may sit on stage 2 of the anger part on there. The other thing with the 4 levels of healing, you got to deal with your spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical aspects of healing. And you were kind of talking about that earlier when you're going through it. Something I learned from author Dr. Joe Beam. He wrote several books on relationships and marriages and stuff like that. And he came up with an acronym called PIES. So when you come out of a toxic relationship and you're going through some things, these are things that work. For some cases, some people are actually using them to save their relationships, and but it's really for you. The thing you want to deal with is you want to deal with your physical aspect, which is the P. You get in the gym, you're feeling good, you're out walking, you're taking care of your body. Once you're getting all that negative energy off of you too, when you start exercising and doing some things there. You got the I side, which is your intelligence. You start learning different things and growing as an individual. You got the E side of emotional side. You want to deal with your emotions and get them under control, because you don't ever want the person that hurt you to think that they won because they see you crying every time they see you. They see you depressed every time they see you. They see
quick bomb drop. Go ahead, Carl. Continue if you want to flow. Would you have a call though?
And then you got the S of the pie, which is spiritual. You want to work with your spiritual side, whatever that is to you, your spiritual walk. For me as a Christian, I prayed more. I got in my word more. I understood more of who I was as an individual spiritually. And those are things that will help you get through this healing journey that you're going through to get you to this other side. But it's a process that you have to go through.
Hello? All right. Well, we have a call. Thank you for calling DBDS Live. Tell us your name, and do you have a comment or a question?
Hi, my name is Joanne calling from Texas. I have a comment.
Sure, go ahead.
I think people need to focus on themselves after leaving a toxic relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very well said. And thank you so much for calling in.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good day, my sister.
You too.
All right. I'll come to you, Freddie. What you think about what the caller stated? Need to focus on yourself before jumping back in. We talked about it, but if you want to elaborate, here you go.
Okay, focusing on self is very important. Uniquely designed. Number one is that I tell a lot of people is your main focus is it's not being selfish either, because it's nothing about being selfish about thinking about yourself when you want to grow within yourself to spiritually, physically, and in any form that makes you have your own peace of mind in order to move forward in life within yourself. Giving yourself 100% is something that is not taught to us in life growing up. We're always taught that 50% thing, half and half, 50-50. Us growing up, we're always given this illusion of that 50%, whether in relationship or anything. With, I say to myself, it's always been a lie. We've been lied to so many times. We've been deceived to for so long that a lot of things became reality and realistic to our lives, but it's all a lie. And this is why I love about this show is that we enlighten ourselves and we enlighten each other at the same time. We are each other's light, and we may have difference of culture, but the only thing that actually brings us together is having an open mind. Your heart also follows like that, which also feeds into your spirit at the same time to enlighten yourself, to teach other people as well. And this is the way we can build.
Okay, very well said. And I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in before we go to a quick commercial break. But I tell my brothers and sisters that starting today, listen, make sure you put yourself first and learn how to have the best life possible while you're single. Because the reality is you'll be able to decide whether you want another relationship right now. And trust me, listen, I know it's not easy after a bad or toxic relationship. Listen, I have seen some people who try so hard to avoid the pain through unhealthy behaviors, such as drugs, alcohol, food, smashing chocolate chip cookies from left to right with someone just to fill the void, isolation, or they try to suppress everything else altogether. But believe me, the road to recovery begins with, as I stated earlier, examining your toxic relationship as well as all of the relationships in your life. So that way you can have an honest, realistic view of what role you play. So that way you can become a better version of yourself and be prepared for dating challenges once you're ready to put yourself out in the market. Some steps may consist of, taking an active interest in a passionate hobby, or travel, or meet new people. And most importantly, as Carl and Freddie stated, date yourself, because the more you treat yourself better, then that will parallel as to what you can expect and how your future potential suitor will treat you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take another commercial break before we hit that topic. But before we do, I'm going to go here to the comment. I love these comments, man.
Sin said, don't let loneliness push you back into something you're not ready for.
Exactly. And I couldn't say it even better. So thank you for that comment. So this is DBDS Live. We'll be right back. Sit tight. All right, and welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm here with my brother Freddie and my brother Carl, and we've been talking about, how to date again after a toxic relationship. And now it's time to touch on our last topic. All right, so the last subtopic that we're going to touch on today is, as Freddie just elaborately stated, focus on yourself. She seemed like she's calm, she's peaceful, she's, I don't know, maybe on an island near Vietnam. I don't know. But she is focused on herself, right? So let me size this up. So my thing is that moving on from your past toxic relationship involves, feeling and expressing pain, anger, confusion, as well as frustration. But the road to a healthy relationship is to examine the unfinished business from your past, and balance it with positive, life-affirming actions, just like the sister that's on the island or on the beach or wherever she's at. All right. So my brother Freddie, let's go deeper. How does a person focus on themselves?
Oh man, I tell you, I say myself, I teach the young youth, because it's always best to start at a young age, focusing on themselves, because they reap the benefits of giving themselves that 100%. That ability to going into life, being able to breathe, that you can exhale, that you don't have no worries. I tell young generation is that you should take the time when you're living with your mother or father or either or, to take this time to give yourself that main focus on yourself, in order for you to grow within yourself and be ready to go into the world. As parents, we should teach our children how to be ready and prepared for the world, because we should be the only voice they hear, and understand that we want the best for them, and understanding also at the same time whether you're either the only child or whatever. So at the same time, listening to our elders at the same time, we learn from that too. But going ready and being focused into getting ready for the world is one thing that is a self appreciation and reward that you yourself feel, the presence of being able to exhale. Because when you're able to go into life and have no worries, because you prepared yourself for the world. That's like when I said earlier, going into a battlefield prepared. You don't want to go in with a gun with no ammo. You see what I'm saying? You got to have the ammo. You have to be prepared for the world that you're about to take part in. Regardless of what part of the world you're in. And how we mainly bring that positive energy and reflect is what we do within ourselves to teach ourselves this sensible peace that we can have within ourselves in our war. Because our biggest things that we fight ourselves is our nafs. That's what we call is our internal war that we fight within ourselves constantly every day as we grow up. So when I embed that to the young generation, I also teach this to the older generation that wasn't taught that. But being able it's always better to teach. It's better to know and have the knowledge of it than not having it at all. Because some people are not being taught this, and this is where you get people from different age brackets where they suffer of not having that, being able to be in focus and being able to be ready to move forward in life. Period, which is where they stay still stagnant in that era where they wasn't able to accomplish of something that hurt them. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Okay, Carl. So when you focus on yourself, how does that benefit and prepare you for the next relationship, especially after a toxic relationship?
I definitely I can take it from my own personal experience. The thing for me is I lost myself within my marriage. I was taught, happy wife, happy life, which is crap. I'm gonna keep it real. It's happy spouse, happy house.
Happy house. Yes.
Be happy. It's not about ladies. I love y'all. Trust me, I love y'all, but it's not about y'all. Trust me, it is not about y'all. If your man is not happy, he cannot hold down and do the things that he needs to do. I'm just keeping it real 100 for y'all. That's free information. You want some more? Hit me up. But when you lose yourself as a man within a relationship or as a person in general in a relationship, you have to find, and I had to focus on me. And coming out of that, man, I'm telling you, I've learned so much about myself that I did not know existed. The peace that I have, the Bible says, having peace that goes above all understanding. It's that type of peace that I have every day. I have the joy that gives me complete happiness every day because I focused on me. I did for me. I went places. I took up new hobbies. I took on new things that I never thought I would even do. I was never a wine drinker. Give me my cigar and my brown, I'm good. I'm a bourbon up and go. But I started going to wine tastings and events, and then I saw, oh man, they got live music here. And it just, I just took time to take Carl on an adventure and focus on me. And yeah, I had my two sons with me and I had to make sure they're good. And like Freddie said, we got to teach the younger generation. And so I teach my sons what makes you happy. Before y'all get married, know what makes you happy and don't lose those things. Make sure those are the things that you focus on and understand what you're going to deal with when you get into these relationships so you don't lose yourself. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. They begin to lose their identity within that relationship. And so now when you come out of a toxic relationship, you're like, you may even look at yourself like, wow, why did I allow that? How did I even get with this person? So now you're sitting back and saying, well, what's wrong with me? it's not. I'm not going to say it's necessarily something wrong with you, but you got to focus on you to realize that so you don't walk back into that situation again. But I tell people all the time, date yourself. I say, Mel, you know how I am. That's my slogan. Date yourself.
Yes.
I do it. I mean, I take myself on a date every week. Every week. I don't care if I'm in a relationship. I'm still going to date myself. Every week I'm taking myself out. I'm spoiling myself, whether it's to, restaurant, whether it's bowling, whatever it is, golf, whatever. I'm going to do something for me. So I focus on me so I continue to heal and grow as a person. And I don't ever lose my identity again within a relationship. So if I see it going that way, I can put a pin in it and say, hey, we can't go down this road and have a conversation because I'm focused enough on me that I'm not willing to give up who I am as an individual, even in this relationship.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That is. So I'm going to go around the horn. I'll come back to you, Freddie. So do you think that you should love yourself more than your significant other?
Do I think that?
Yes.
Oh, myself. I believe my beliefs is. I mean, I say myself. If I'm gonna love somebody, if I have a wife, I'm gonna love her for the sake of God first before myself. I'm gonna ask God, how can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? How can I be a better friend? A better everything, in order to provide for my household, to my kingdom. My blessings that God allowed for me to have in this world, especially my other half, my rib. In order for me to love her, I can't be selfish. So when I look at that, I look at it in a sense. I say to myself, how can you hate or despise anything that loves you or care about you? You can't. So I say that with that sense. Or if I'm in love with my wife and I say I love you to somebody, it's not coming just from me, because I'm loving them from somebody above me. I'm not
That's
selfish
deep.
with my love. And my connection comes from that first before I'm able to even speak out. And even with that sense, I'm far from perfect. I can only better myself every single day, just like everybody else. The same very thing. I could better just myself on every day. So to love myself more than the other person, I have to. I have to give that extra love, because it's coming from me. I'm the head. God created me to be the head. So all that love has to be taught and given through me, so they can feel what it is, and I can represent. I use the word to get in return at the same time. I must teach this as the head, and the woman is the body at the same time, and where she teaches the children, the younger generation, at the same time. But she has somebody to look up to. You see what I'm saying? Whether she had a father figure or a male role model in her life, I should be that in her life if she never had it. And at the same time, as a man, I gotta hopefully that she can understand where my love comes from. And that's why a man should be soft spoken to a woman without yelling or screaming, so she can be, because she's an emotional creature. When you yell to a woman, what happens? She's scattered. Like, her mind is frustrated. Her heart's ticking at the same time. She's all over the place. Not to think. So us men have to learn how to control not only our temper, but be willing to listen. Not just with here, but also with our hearts. We have to listen too. Because
Very well said.
the greatest gift is the spirit of the woman. That's what we
Very,
must.
very well said, brother. Love that, man. Before I come to call with that same question, we are going to go over. We appreciate the people rocking with us. We have a quick comment for one of our sisters.
Saying that, wow, Freddie, very well said.
Ooh, deep.
Thank you.
All right, Carl. So how do you feel, Carl? Do you feel like you should love yourself more than your significant other?
I feel like you need to love yourself.
Okay.
You need to respect yourself
Gotcha.
more as a man. I agree with Freddie. We're put in a different light as men, because we're called to be in a different position. So the Bible says, for a woman to submit unto a man as a man submits himself unto Christ. If I'm going to love like Christ loved, then I have to give an abundance of love to my household and to my spouse. So she gets everything else that I have. How can I hate my rib? If I'm married to her, how can I hate what came from me?
That's deep.
How can I be mad at that? Because she is who he gave me. If I sit and pray, why would I be evil and not love what the Lord gave me? So as Freddie said, you got a flower and a plant, and you're nurturing those things. It's the same thing with a woman. You have to nurture, and yes, we've got to watch how we speak and different things of that nature. But it's times have changed and people see things differently. But as a man, yeah, we absolutely. And again, we can always speak as men. I feel like I have to give my wife that love that Christ would give the church, because she's my church at this point in time. She's my ministry. I've got to give her that love, because if I'm not going to be blessed and rewarded with the things that he's got for me, which blesses my household and my generation after generation after generation should have. So, there's no need in being selfish with the love. It's just giving that love and giving it freely, not standing to what we call unconditional love. Too many people today love, well, if he does this, I'll love him. If she does that, I'll love her. No, you're called to, the Bible says that we're supposed to love one another automatically. That's just automatic. So if this is who came from you, why would you not love yourself?
That's deep, man.
Your wife is your rib. Why would you not love her?
Man. Listen, if I had an amen or hallelujah button, man, praise, man. So listen, we're going to take one last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to do our Jerry Springer moment. Sit tight. This is DBDS Live.
Are you single? Do you know about dbdssingles.com? Are you ready to meet a quality man or classy woman? The DBDS brothers want you to know that love and loyalty still exists. So if you're ready to meet relationship-ready people, sign up today at dbdssingles.com. Let's make love and loyalty dope again.
Welcome back to DBDS Live. And listen, you just seen a commercial. Join DBDS Singles, because right now we're in a pandemic. Number one. Number two, what better way to meet someone that have similar values, such as yourself? Join today. Does hers totally free. Join today. So I'm here with my brother Freddie, my brother Carl, and listen, we just been dropping some nuggets. And if you missed this episode, make sure you go to our YouTube channel, DBDS Live, and also this show will be in our announcement section on Facebook. All of our episodes is there, about 52 and counting. Right. And also you can make sure to check us out on our audio podcast, which is dbdslistenup.podbean.com. That podcast extends to Spotify. It extends to Apple. It extends to Google. So just like it's like that horror movie. We're everywhere. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and just do our final thoughts for today's show. So first, I'm coming to my brother Freddie. Give the people who's watching your final thoughts.
My final thoughts is I want to share with you guys. We're not a mistake of our mothers and fathers. You are a purpose. Love yourself, love your neighbor, and God bless.
Love it. Powerful, short, direct. Coming to my brother Carl. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
Awesome show. Awesome. Truly. Last thing I'm going to say is, I know we talk relationships, but understand sometimes we grow up in toxic households. Sometimes we're around toxic other different things, toxic jobs. So when we're talking even through this, sometimes you might need to take some of these nuggets and process through those things. You need to look at everything that's been toxic in your life. I got whiteboards. I got 3 whiteboards hanging in my bedroom. Both my boys got 2 whiteboards in their room. And man, we're constantly writing on there. You know, one board is just for negative, the other two is for positive. Double over the other one. Take time and write that on there. You know, so you understand where you came from. Because toxic is just not who you dated. Sometimes, you know, again, we would all love to think we came from the you know, a great family and great household. Sometimes we end up in toxic relationships because we saw toxic households. We saw our mom have a toxic relationship. You know, she may not have been married to your father or whatever. You might have been with your father. He wasn't married to your mother, and you see toxic relationships. That will affect how you view different things. So go back to that. Take a look. You know, again, it's a soul searching thing. There's nothing wrong with it. But once you know what it is, smooth sailing.
Very deep. Very well said. Before I provide you with my final thoughts, my people, we have a comment right quick.
From Sin, she said, "Thank you guys. You're awesome." Thank you, Sin.
Thank you, Sin. Would love for you to come on the show, Sin. And anybody else that have some wisdom and knowledge, please reach out to Carl and myself, and we'll definitely have you on. So before I provide you with my final thoughts, Freddie, thank you so much for coming on to the panel. We greatly appreciate your wisdom, brother. Absolutely. So my final thoughts is you can love again after a toxic relationship as long as you overcome the hurdles to look deep inside and make some changes about yourself. Before you think about a long-term or lifetime commitment with someone, it's also important to take stock of your role in all your toxic and previous relationships. And once you have awareness of what happened in your past toxic relationships, then it will make it easier for you to recognize the things that you need to do differently when it's time to date and fulfill your life with someone who has similar values, right? So once again, I want to thank this amazing panel and much love to the DBDS family.
Send us away, man.